Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of On the Shelf, my online manga review show. I wanted to thank everybody for all of the submissions that they sent in for ideas that they want me to review. I really appreciate that, and I'm really glad that I have your guys' support. For my first show, I thought I'd do something that I actually have the entire series of, and I start with an author that a lot of people are familiar with. So, without further ado, let's jump right into Clover, 20th Anniversary Special Edition by CLMAP. I love this cover. The image of Sua sitting there looking completely adorable and innocent is just perfect for her. It completely encaptures her for the manga, and I love it so much. Now, gentlemen, just to let you know, this is a shoujo manga, meaning this cover that you see here is the most revealing thing Sua will ever wear, and it's not even a canon picture. So, just stare at this cover for a couple more minutes before you enjoy her lobby-style wardrobe. The story starts off with Kazuhiko Feiryu getting orders from his ex-leader. Since he's a civilian, he obviously agrees to do it. He's led to a greenhouse with a girl in a cage. Her name is Sua. This is Chinese, so it's the proper way to pronounce it, not like Little Mary Sue. They're supposed to be sent straight away to the area where Kazuhiko is supposed to take Sua, but instead, there's a massive anime malfunction that will drag this out for a part and a half longer than absolutely necessary. While in the town, Kazuhiko and Sua are pursued by a group called Assyria. Kazuhiko and Sua discuss a little about Kazuhiko's past, mostly his dead girlfriend Aura, a famous singer with a one-hit wonder that Sua keeps singing. Kazuhiko, when he's not getting stabbed every 12 pages, starts to wonder exactly what the power of the clover is, while everyone else is amazed at having found a 4-leaf clover. In part 2, we begin with Kazuhiko and Sua being pursued by a member of Asiya and a man from Kazuhiko's past named Bulls. We see the beginning of Sua's powers, one being the ability to grow wings. She also explains what exactly a clover is and how there are different levels of powers, the strongest of which are the 3 leaves and the 4 leaves. However, Sua is the only 4-leaf, so she has always been alone. The relationship between Sua and Aura is developed more, and the relevance of the song every few pages in the manga. They get attacked, and the second part ends with me screaming out loud at my manga. I was so pissed off when I read this. I hate Azaria and everything they stand for. Then part 3 and 4 pissed me off even more because they're nothing but flashbacks. Honestly, I don't care about Aura. I don't care about Rin. What happened to Suo? What happened to Kazuhiko? And what happened to everyone who I just spent 100 pages actually caring about? This manga could have ended at part 2 and it would have been a complete story. I don't even understand why they had to go into part 3 and 4 except to just get more character development that could have had a spot anywhere in part 2 for just one chapter as opposed to an entire manga making me think there was more. Because of what happens at the end of part 2, I won't really get into more of the story. I can talk about the actual development of the story, though. As per usual with most CLMAP stories, they start off pretty slow, introducing the characters, the vastly created world or worlds, the random crap they make up just because they're CLMAP and, well, they can. Like, for example, a talking bunny. Part 2 of the story is where the manga really shines. The whole thing is fast-paced, but you never once feel lost or in the dark. Everything comes together in a really nice, really good way, but the story does come to a bit of a screeching halt for parts 3 and 4. Okay, this is not bad storytelling. These parts are actually very well done, and the exposition of the characters is beautiful and well thought out and everything like that, but I just wish it had been in a different place, and it didn't need a whole manga dedicated to it. However, the world of the characters is incredible. The idea of psychic beings that could remake the world in any way they wanted is kind of daunting and incredibly awesome. It's like an anime version of Jean Grey, only much more adorable and less crazy. The characters of this manga are honestly not all that impressive. Kazuhiko is basically Roy Mustang if he decided to quit the military and if Riza died. Sua is your typical anime girl. Cute, naive, powerful, the works. Most of the characters, I couldn't even remember who they were because they either were introduced for about half a page and then gone for 3 chapters, or we never learned what their names were. Yeah, there are characters who are introduced and we don't even know what their names are. There are 3 characters named A, B, and C. I am not making this up. Honestly, my favorite character ended up being Aura. I love learning about her and actually seeing her interact with Sua and Kazuhiko and several other characters did really develop who they were and gave an interesting background feel to the story. And unfortunately, most of the characters you really don't care for until the very end of the series, which is bad because, like I said earlier, this manga could have technically ended at part 2. As expected of CLAMP, the artwork for this is amazing. There's a wonderful mix of the elegance of the characters and the technology of the world. Sometimes the males were a little hard to distinguish between because they have the same stocky broad shoulder build, well, except for Rin, but he has to look scrawny and helpless for the sake of the story. Landscapes are beautiful with the expected attention to detail that CLAMP is so well known for. Character designs and wardrobes are incredible, and the weapons that are used by Bulls, Kazuhiko, and Getsu are just beautiful, gorgeous. I love looking at them. However, one of the most irritating parts about this was the fact that a lot of the pages either only had 1 or 2 panels on them, leaving the rest of the page white with just a giant speech bubble over it, or it was mostly a song. Throughout this manga, there's a lot of reference to a song called Clover, and then there's reference to another song in the later parts, but it always comes back to this song that Sua keeps singing. This is fine. I don't mind it. I think it's a wonderful plot to the story that gets delved into in part 3 later, but it's just irritating that every time I turn the page, there's the song. Okay, we get it. It's important. Thank you. I don't need any more of it. To me, the biggest disappointment of this manga was the Clovers themselves. They're supposed to be these super powerful beings that not only could destroy society as we know it, but also bend reality and warp it to their will, and apparently this is amplified by the fact that they share a special relationship with someone, which is why most of them have to be spent in isolation and captivity. But the only powers that we really see are C's powers when he beats the hell out of Getsu, and Sua when she makes her wings appear, although I'm not entirely sure that's all attributed to her power. I mean, in this world, mechanical wings are more than possible. She probably just pushed a button on her shoulder and made her wings appear, and then they fell to the ground. The Clovers should be explored a bit more, like what their powers are, how are their abilities received, and how the relations with other people make them more dangerous. For this being CLAMP's greatest work, it was a bit of a letdown. I mean, the story was wonky and seemed a little out of order. The characters were kind of bland and one-dimensional. The artwork was amazing, and parts of the story were really good, but there was so much more about the characters that I wanted to know or explore. It's a world of CLAMP that can offer so much more to its readers, but it kind of fails to deliver. The character relations and the artwork are really what make this story. The story itself is good for the most part, but if it had just been a little more organized, I could have enjoyed it more. Well, if this manga does appeal to you, there are a couple other titles that I would suggest out there. Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, for the fact that it has the wonderful CLAMP aspect, and because it's another really good shoujo manga out there. Vampire Knight, another very good shoujo, and it also delves into the fantasy aspect like much of what Clover does. Juvenile Orion, a lesser-known shoujo, but it delves very well into the world of the mysterious and the mystic. D.N. Angel, one of the most well-known shoujo mangas. D.N. Angel also delves into the world of the magical and the mystical, but also has this incredibly rooted feeling that gives the characters this wonderful, deep feeling. Basically, there's a lot of different mangas that CLAMP has done that are actually better than Clover. For example, Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicles, or even their first thing, Magic Knight Rayearth. Wonderful, wonderful manga. I highly recommend that as opposed to Clover. I'm not saying that Clover is a bad manga. All I'm saying is that I'm glad that I only paid half price for half a story. Well, that's all that I've got for today. So, until the next review, later guys.